Hi everyone, Quiveen here from the comfort of my kitchen. In today's video, we are going to take a look at the end of April as we come up to it, and why I haven't made a big deal about the Lyrid meteor shower. The Lyrid meteor shower really just peaked yesterday or the day before, or possibly further ago, depending on when you watch this video, just the day before the date of posting. But I haven't made a big deal about the Lyrids. Even in the video where we look forward into April to see what was coming up, I didn't make a particularly big deal about them, and we're going to see why. First off, just as we're past sunset, truly into darkness by, 10 o'clock maybe, we can still see a little bit of light over here, so it's not truly dark at 10 o'clock. We are very much getting into summer and the nights are getting very short. But at this time of the evening, we've got Leo nice and high directly to the south. We're really losing Orion now. The belt is just above the horizon, just after sunset. We've still got Gemini, they are up a little bit higher. And Virgo, tough to see, but really becoming prominent at the moment. The only star in Virgo that's really easy to see is Spica or Spica. So there is a little rhyme that you can use to help you find it. If you look for the Big Dipper or the plough, the handle of the plough or the Big Dipper, the tail of Ursa Major, it has an arc to it. You follow the arc to Arcturus, which is a nice bright red star, very bright and recognizable in the constellation of Bootes or Bootes. Bootes or Bootes is not the most famous constellation, but Arcturus is nice and clear. If you arc to Arcturus, you spike onto Spica, so you'll be making a line pretty much down and towards the south, and that'll bring you to the brightest star in Virgo. And over the course of the week and the weekend, it will be very close to the full moon. So we're here on the 24th in a couple of days' time, and the moon pretty close to full, 99.9%. We can see it's less full there, 96% the next day. So the moon is very, very close to full here on the 24th as it's coming up. And as we move through the night, the moon will only set as the sun is rising. So that's another way we can tell that we're very close to the full moon. Saturn just barely trying to appear over there. It is going to be very tough to spot, especially in the city. But when we're through to morning time here, the constellation of Scorpius is now a little bit more prominent. It's up high a little bit earlier before the sunrise. We can also see parts of Sagittarius just there. So the constellations that we're seeing are definitely continuing to change. Here are the meteor showers that we're getting in this period of time. We can see the anti-helion there. That is the point in the sky opposite to the sun. The moon will always be very close to it when it's full, and we tend to have meteors falling into the sky from there without being associated with a particular comet or a particular asteroid or other object. Here are the April Lyrids. Now we can see that they are variable. They get up to 90. They're there at 22. If we move back a couple of days to their actual peak, yep, here we are on the 22nd, 83 meteors an hour, not too bad, but the moon there is 96% full. So unfortunately, the April Lyrids are going to be competing with the full or nearly full moon for a large portion of their peak. And we can see that, they are variable. Sometimes you'll get none, sometimes you'll get a few. And I don't know if it shows a parent body for this, but they do all have parent bodies. I think it might be a comet named Thatcher, because the Eta Aquariids, yes, are Comet Halley, one of the most famous, or Halley. I believe that it is a comet named after a scientist named Thatcher, that it acts as the parent body. Oh yeah, there we go. Comet C 1861 G1 Thatcher. So we can see here, it was seen in 1861. That's when it passed by us. There's no P here for periodical. Whereas down here, 1P, a periodical comet, Halley, it comes back around over quite long time scales. Halley is an occasional visitor, occasional but regular visitor to the inner solar system. We can see the April Lyrids here. They are producing a fair number of meteors, or they can produce a fair number of meteors, but they are going to be competing with the light of the moon. If we take a look at the Eta Aquariids here, although they can get up to 50, they're showing here at 1, and that's because we're not actually through to their peak. Their maximum is around the 5th of May, 5th or 6th of May. These things do vary a little bit with the years. So we can see here as we move forward, the zenith hourly rate there is increasing. And as we come up to 5th or the 6th, There we go, 45, pretty close to its peak. And there on the 6th of May, and I will repeat this when we are looking forward into the month of May in the next video, but we can see that it's there practically with the new moon. So even though the radiant in Aquarius, the radiant of these meteors, if you want to go looking at a reasonable time of the night, not 2 o'clock in the morning, if you want to go looking for these meteors at, midnight, the radiant will be below the horizon, but you can still see them appearing almost anywhere in the sky. They will just appear to be pointing away from Aquarius if they are indeed Eta Aquariids. So they're the Eta Aquariids. It looks like a little N, but that is the Greek letter Eta, which is normally pronounced like an I in modern Greek. We do need to keep track of which Lyrid or which Aquarid meteor shower we're talking about. We can see here it's the April Lyrids. They occur in April. You could probably call the Eta Aquariids the May Aquarids if you wanted to, but different schemas name these things in slightly different ways. We'll push quickly out to the countryside just so we can take a look at the end of April in the countryside. Of course, the meteors are going to be a lot more visible in the countryside as well. So if you can get out into the countryside, maybe not so much for the Lyrids, given that they are past their peak and so close to the full moon. But if you can get out to the countryside, maybe for the Eta Aquariids in the coming month. So here we go, of course, loads more stars once we're in the countryside. We still have to compete with the glow of that moon as we come across the weekend here. But Leo is certainly a lot more defined. Spica never, the stars in Virgo, we can see Spica, but the stars in Virgo never really look like a young woman, even with the lines drawing them together. That's a pretty abstract shape, whereas Leo, at least, kind of looks like a lion that you might see in a children's book. We'll keep moving forward. Of course, out in the countryside is where you will have a chance of seeing the Milky Way, but it is not guaranteed. Poor weather conditions can block out the Milky Way, just like they block out everything else. But with the light of the moon, as we come through to the end of April especially, it's going to have a big impact on what you can see. If we get the moon out of the sky, there's the Milky Way in between Sagittarius and Scorpius. I've mentioned it a few times recently. I will continue to mention it because it's good to know. As we come up to summertime, as we get closer to midsummer, although the days will be getting shorter, we'll get to see this lovely glow earlier and free from the glow of sunrise. But of course, we'll have a little bit of twilight in the sky once we reach midsummer all night long. So here in Ireland, it can still be a little bit tricky. But here we are just a few days into May, and we can see the glow of the Milky Way there really, really clearly because the moon is out of the way, and we need the moon out of the way to see those fainter objects. We can see here on the 24th, the moon's basically full, and the glow of sunrise will be starting pretty soon. We can definitely see Scorpius and Sagittarius. We've got our summer triangle there. So we know the Milky Way is there, we're just not going to be able to see it. I mentioned in a recent video, that Mars and Saturn will start to be visible in the morning if you are in the countryside, but they are still going to be very tricky. We can see Saturn here is getting reasonable, but Mars is still very much entrenched in that glow of the sunrise, so it's going to be a little bit more difficult. Now, as we come up to the end of April, I want to make sure we're still looking at the end of April and not the beginning. We can take a look to see how early the summer triangle comes into our sky, because it's definitely coming into our sky earlier. It's not fully above the horizon by 10. We're not in summer, so that makes sense. But there is the summer triangle fully above the horizon by just 1:15 in the morning. And it will stick with us from 1:15 until, 4 or 5 or whenever the sun actually rises. There we go, just 5:45, and we still have the summer triangle there in the sky. So we're definitely coming back to summer, and we can see that because the summer triangle is almost with us all night long. Not quite, but almost. It is sticking around a little bit longer. Now, I'm going to get rid of this tree here, this little patch of the landscape. There's Jupiter right on the horizon. So if you have a clear enough horizon, Jupiter is really, really bright. It should still stand out if you're in the countryside. We're going to be finishing up the video, so I may as well hop back to the city, partly so the computer is ready for my next video. And there is Jupiter, still barely visible from the city, blocked out by this tree in this particular simulation. But you may be able to catch Jupiter if you have a nice clear horizon. For example, if you're at the west coast of whatever landmass you're on, if you're at the west coast of Ireland or anywhere where you're looking out over a big expanse of water. The Great Lakes would do it, as would other large lakes. Any lake that pretends it's an ocean, any lake where you can't see land on the other side of it, just a horizon of water. If you're looking west across one of those, you'll have a good chance of spotting Jupiter just above the horizon as the sun sets. So here we are. We'll come back to the 24th, come back to midnight, because this is the sky we're seeing. nice and bright and lit up by the moon, which is going to affect our view of the meteors. We're going to take a look at May in the next video, so if you'd like to make sure that you catch it and get an introduction to the Eta Aquariids, then make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel and like this video if you liked it. If you'd like to read a little bit of this content, you can head to my website, grievingscontent.ie. Otherwise, I'll see you next time.